those few occasions where the communion service falls on the very first day of the month. So it's special. The life that Christ has given to us to live is to the glory of the Father. And when you study the Bible, you see that God always had a very clear agenda, a definite purpose for his world that he created, for the universe that he created, and for man in particular. A very definite purpose. We don't live for nothing, like some people think. There's a clear purpose, a clear agenda. If you're ignorant of the Bible, you wouldn't know this. You can only guess. You can only assume that there is or that there isn't. But when you understand the scriptures, you'd find a consistency and a clarity of purpose, clarity of vision. And the most important thing for men to do is to discover their purpose and live it. How important that is. That's the most important thing for men to do. That's for human beings in this world to do. Discover your purpose, your reason for being. Discover it. Many live, grow old, and die without ever discovering their purpose for life. They just live through. Things may turn out well. Things may turn out badly. Makes no difference. It's whether or not you know your purpose for life and whether you're living it or not. And it's so easy to drift, to move the way the world moves you, the way circumstances lead you. And that's one of the most terrible things in life, to live according to circumstances. Whether they favor you or disfavor you makes no difference. Because if you live a life of emptiness, you alone would know the frustration in your heart. Others may not know. Those who may look at you with all the elements of human success and think you're happy. But you alone would know the frustration of your life. But when you discover your purpose, not one that you assume, one that's based on a true relationship with God, not an assumption, not a speculation. When you really come to know Him and to be in fellowship with Him, then and then only can you confidently say, yes, I know my reason for life. And then fulfill it. Fulfill it. And of course, if you discover it by His help, by the power of the Holy Spirit, He'll help you fulfill it. He promised to. He said He would. He would help you make it happen. Sometimes there are those who are actually in the line of their calling in life. They may not know that God chose them for that. They probably don't have enough knowledge on that wise. But they're just going on. As the journey in life has been. Well, that helps to a certain extent. Because on that journey will be adversaries and adversities. And when you hit them, if you are not connected with the one who knows what to be done to go beyond that point, then your journey is truncated. Then the unexpected, and life is destroyed, even though you were on the right path, because you never found out from the one who actually planned your life what his whole plan is and how to fully fulfill that calling. That's why it's important that no matter how wonderful it's been for you, you might have had a great ride, but if you're not in fellowship with the Spirit of God who created you in the first place and who determined the greater purpose for your life, and how are you going to fulfill it to His pleasure? We live for His pleasure. He doesn't live for us. We live for Him. We live for Him. So this is a beautiful month of March, and it's great to take off on the first day like this. Beautiful journey. And in this month, we'll be having, by close to the middle of it, Friday the 13th to Sunday the 15th, the Healing Streams live healing services. And that will be amazing. It's going to be great. You heard a lot about it earlier in the program. It's going to be awesome. So make sure to prepare for it. Get ready for it. Tell others about it. Help them prepare for it. And oh, how our world needs divine healing today. The intervention of God in their situation. We are in a day that even the medical practice, medical science has become unreliable because it's been hijacked. Well, I shouldn't say it's been hijacked. It was hijacked. Because it's not just happening. It happened a long time ago. Really. Hijacked by those with a terrible satanic agenda. And for a long time, they were thought to be nice people because it's easy to assume that someone's trying to help you when you're in need. But think about all the terrible things they've done to this world. And it's one of the reasons we should be concerned about who our leaders are. I saw on the news the other day in California, United States, a lady was threatened that if she would not allow her 13-year-old daughter to have a sex change according to her so-called desire, the authorities will come and take her away from her. So the government will become the parent. This is terrible. If we had such a thing in some countries, we would say, well, you know, that's a terrible country. But there are some countries that are very significant in the world. And the United States definitely is one of them, if not the biggest of them. Which means it matters to all of us what happens in the United States. What is happening in California is not acceptable. Yes, sir. Because then they lose the moral power to help others and to deter others from doing such things. Yes, it's not acceptable. Yes. So we're going to visit that another day, but I think that we soon need to decide. I think it's obvious already, of course, but it looks like the Democrats' party that's making these kind of things happen is probably not a political party, but a cult. Maybe it's about time that anyone who's thinking right should reconsider whether that's a party or not. It's not a political party. It used to be, maybe some time ago. But in the last decade or so, it's changed. It's changed. So what's happening there in California is unacceptable. And the trouble is, they're doing these kind of things in a clandestine way. Many don't realize it's happening. So you must allow your child to make a decision a child to decide whether, having been born a girl, she wants to be a guy or not. What's gone into their heads? A child doesn't have the intelligence or wisdom or maturity to make such a decision. Even for adults, it's a bad decision, a bad proposition that shouldn't even be presented to an adult. But the reason this is happening is because Satanists have hijacked that organization that used to be a political party, the Democrats' party. Something's gone wrong. So, following the message of this month, we're going to consider what's going on there very seriously. We have to understand the Bible declares the heavens do rule. And then I did talk about the vaccines the other day. You would have thought that by now, those who were championing vaccinations should have stopped all the talk about it. But just like the devil, they are unrepentant. And they continue to pressurize governments and pressurize organizations and individuals to get vaccinated. Anybody who's telling you to get vaccinated is not only ignorant, like the Bible says, is foolish. Is ignorant and is foolish. First, he doesn't even know what a vaccine is. He thinks he does. He doesn't. Secondly, he doesn't even know the purpose of a vaccine. He thinks he does. He doesn't. Doesn't matter how many professorship he has, he's ignorant. I've told you, right from the very beginning of vaccinations, it was a fraud. From the very beginning, the idea behind it is a fraud. No wise person will ask you to get vaccinated when they understand what vaccines are. None. You say, Pastor Chris, what about all those doctors that have been helping to do the vaccinations? They were all ignorant. And remember the words of Jesus, wide is the road that leads to destruction. And many, he says, and many there be that go in that way. So never think that just because a lot of people are doing something, it's therefore right. I warned you about the vaccines, especially the mRNA vaccines, the COVID vaccines. In 2020, before the vaccines came out, I warned you about the vaccines. I told you They were planning to get you vaccinated. And I told you what the vaccines were about and not to take it. And that helped us save so many and to destroy that vaccination agenda. But I also told you that aside the mRNA vaccines, no vaccine was ever good. They never worked. They don't work. They only work for those who planned them, for the purpose for which they were set up. And those vaccines were only set up for satanic reasons. They were never positive. Okay, let me show you this video. Watch this. I think you should see this and hear the voices of the unvaccinated and give you some information. Watch this.
12.8% in our children in the 1980s to over 54% of our kids now. That's the greatest decline in human health that's ever been recorded. But when we're talking about an autoimmune disease crisis, shouldn't we look closest at the one product that's designed to alter our immune system for life? And we don't just inject it 1 time or 2 times or 10 times or 15 times or 20 times or 50 times. 72 times we are altering the immune system of our children with our vaccine program. There'd be one easy study to rule it out. Compare vaccinated children to completely unvaccinated children. But we don't know because they've never done the study.
Big Pharma has created the illusion, in the eyes of many, that no one can truly live a healthy life without being vaccinated.
If you hadn't been vaccine injured, or you didn't have a loved one and you understood that they were vaccine injured, you didn't know about how dangerous vaccines could be, right? Remember that for 100 years, the American public has been inculcated with these ideas: vaccines are safe and effective, vaccines are safe and effective, vaccines are safe and effective. And the information about vaccine injury had been censored for a long time. Most Americans and most people around the world would have had no idea that if you got a vaccine, you could become paralyzed, you could have a stroke, you could have a neurodegenerative injury, you could die. Most people that would not enter into their consciousness that it could be that severe.
I told you it was a fraud on science. And I was right all the time.
10 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, 5th one on the way who will not be vaccinated either. They're all extremely healthy.
I've never had a vaccine of any kind, not one. In my entire life, 61 years on this planet, not one vaccine, never had one.
For many years, millions around the world have erroneously believed that vaccines are safe and protective against diseases and infections. But with the advent of COVID-19, the world has since found this to be a great fallacy.
Have you received any vaccination against COVID?
What you put into your body. And for me, that is essential. It's really the principle of understanding what is right and what is wrong for you. And me as an elite professional athlete, I've always carefully reviewed, assessed everything that comes in from the supplements, food, the water that I drink, or sports drinks, anything really that comes into my body as a fuel. Based on all the informations that I got, I decided not to take the vaccine.
I have 3 grown children.
They're all grown up. And did you vaccinate your children?
No, I did not. They're all completely unvaccinated. I can probably count on one hand how many times they've had to go to the doctor in their entire life.
I have 15 or 16, I can't keep track, 15 or 16 nieces and nephews, and none of them have received vaccines, and they're all very healthy kids as well.
They're all so healthy. It's like they don't have asthma. It's like they're not sick all the time.
They fare so much better and heal so much quicker. My kids are super healthy.
They are very healthy kids. They have traveled to many places. My kids have gone to Nicaragua. You can't get more third world country than that, trust me.
With no vaccine.
With no vaccines.
I have super healthy, great, unvaccinated
Terrible.
People are literally being mind controlled with very sophisticated technology and subliminal programming and media persuasion, where people they really like and admire are absolutely encouraging them to do something. And they can't fathom that it could be dangerous. They just can't believe that the government would lie in a way that would kill millions of people or disable millions of people. They can't fathom that.
I was a father of a 16-year-old son. Single parent. I raised my boy since he was a baby. He meant the world to me. I got the vaccine to protect my son. And after in March, April, they're announcing how it was safe for teenagers. Me and my son have never been apart. We're always together. He was my best friend. I always told him it was me and you against the world. We got the Pfizer vaccine because I thought it was to protect him. I thought it was the right thing to do. It was like playing Russian roulette. My government lied to me. They said it was safe. Now I go home to an empty house.
Colton was a 13-year-old healthy, strong boy. He loved anything that has to do with an adrenaline rush. Motocross was his passion. The doctor says, hey, he's the age that you should get the HPV vaccine. I said, okay. So he was administered the vaccine. And then this is the last day he got to ride that big boy bike. And that day he came home, he was starting to feel nauseous, really sore neck. He still didn't want to get out of bed. I just thought, man, you're just really weak and exhausted. And that evening, when he sat up to take a drink of water, he just flopped back and his head just hit the pillow, and I went, Colton, are you going paralyzed? They immediately took him down to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake. Original diagnosis was transverse myelitis. When the doctor came out and asked me, has he been sick? I said, no, he hasn't been sick. He had the HPV vaccine on February 1st, and they went, oh. Well, we'll be reporting that to VARS.
It does suck, like, not being able to play sports anymore. Now I have to sit on the sideline, just watch everybody. You gotta do your research, like, you can't just trust a doctor anymore. Do your own ways to find out what's best for you.
You have to ask the right questions. You're going to ask a doctor questions and he's got to answer you. He can only answer you what he knows. What if he doesn't know? And I just said most of the time he don't know.
My name is Lisa Rankin. I'm a family physician.
I'm Dr. Judy Mikovits. My name is Dr. Patricia Ryan.
So I'm Paul Thomas.
I'm a professor of medicine at West Virginia University School of Medicine.
I'm Cornelia Franz.
And you are a pediatric doctor?
I am a pediatric doctor.
And how long have you been practicing as a pediatrician?
A really long time, over 30 years.
I'm Cami Benton.
Jane Orient. I'm an internist in Tucson, Arizona.
I'm Dr. Ramon Ramos. I'm a pediatrician here in Savannah, Georgia.
I'm an emergency room physician.
My name is James Neuenschwander. I'm a physician in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
So when you first started out to be a doctor, what kind of training did you get on vaccines?
Honestly, I don't remember very much conversation at all.
We were just taught that they help prevent disease. We were told on our rotations that vaccines were safe and effective. Here's the schedule.
We are not taught what's in those vaccines. We are just taught what the schedule is like.
Safe and effective, and they've saved millions of lives. We learned the schedule.
My name is Dr. Sherry Tenpenny. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I've been researching problems associated with vaccines since September of 2000. I've put well over 20,000 hours of my own time into researching these problems with vaccines.
My name is Dr. Suzanne Humphreys. I am primarily educated with a BA in physics, and then I went on to medical school and studied internal medicine and specialized in nephrology. What made me realize there might be a problem with vaccines was one of my own patients telling me that they were fine until they had that vaccine. So I investigated and found out that his kidney function was perfectly normal before he was given a vaccine, and he was requiring dialysis within a month afterward. I just felt like I needed to know the truth, and if the truth was that vaccines were safe and effective in doing what they said, then I would have been a primary proponent for vaccines. I'd be marching to the drum of vaccination. I just needed to know, were vaccines actually causing problems in my patients or weren't they? I couldn't stop myself from researching after that because there was just so much evidence and there were so many things that I was discovering while I was looking into the safety of vaccination that really blew my mind. And in a kind of a morbid way, I found it fascinating because history was being rewritten in my brain from what I was programmed to believe.
For many years, the public has been calling for a proper comparative study between vaccinated and unvaccinated children. Yet
what should be heard, what should be known, and what should not be known. After sucking everybody into their platform, now you all believe in their platform, and they decide to let you speak or not let you speak.
It's a very hostile environment, both scientifically and in the media, for individuals who reach conclusions or have opinions that counter mainstream ideas.
How many patients overall in the end did you end up treating children?
Well, I had 10 to 15,000 active patients, which means they've been seen in the last year.
Okay. Because you did a study on your 15,000 active patients.
Right.
Right?
Well, actually, the study was on every baby born into my practice, so not the whole practice. Okay. Look at all health outcomes comparing vaccinated, and in my case, they were verily vaccinated, not CDC vaccinated, to completely unvaccinated, and see the difference. And we published that study, and within days of that study being published, and I see it on your screen, you're seeing the title of that study. Why? He says, well, they had an emergency meeting, and you are a threat to public health.
For doing science, for saying, hey, I
see a problem.
I'm just showing you the data.
Right.
I have a very large practice. I can show you the kids. I can show you all that data.
Yep.
And it's saying what it's saying, and that makes me dangerous.
Right.
And they silenced those, they fired some of them from their jobs.
There's over 10,000 dead people in Europe that died on days 1, 2, and 3 after the vaccine. Why are we pushing this in a way where people's jobs and their education and their livelihood decide on a decision that's potentially fatal? There are parents that say, listen, I want my kid to go to college this year, but I don't want to lose him to the vaccine. They know what's going on. The internet is full of these cases. Blood clots, strokes, immediate death.
In spite of being protected against 3 deadly diseases, the introduction of DTP was associated with increased overall mortality. Children who received DTP vaccine had 5 times higher risk of dying than those who didn't. And this is just one example of many studies now done of DTP vaccine, and they all show the same. DTP vaccinated children have higher mortality than those who didn't get DTP. So it appears that DTP vaccine has negative non-specific effects. The protection against the 3 deadly diseases comes at a very high price, namely increased risk of dying. So, with the best of intentions, the use of DTP vaccine may kill more children than it saves. I know these results are extremely uncomfortable, and most people, including myself, just wish they weren't true. But this is what the data.
No vaccines compared to those who had 1 or more vaccines. This study was based on actual medical records, meaning finally a large vaccinated versus unvaccinated study using health data from a major United States health institution, something, as the IOM pointed out, never existed before. The study began by explaining it set out to reduce was that vaccinated children had 4.29 times the rate of asthma, 3.03 times the rate of atopic disease, 5.96 times the rate of autoimmune disease, and 5.53 times the rate of neurodevelopmental disorders, which included 3.28 times the rate of developmental delay, and for which there were numerous cases in the vaccinated group but 0 in the unvaccinated group. Hence, a rate cannot be calculated, including brain dysfunction, ADHD, learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and tics. For example, there were 262 cases of ADHD in the vaccinated group, and there were none in the unvaccinated group. In this study, there were around 16,000 kids in the vaccinated group, by the way, can be caused by immune system dysregulation, and vaccines can cause immune system dysregulation. Citations for this are in my written submission. Overall, the study found that after 10 years, 17% of the unvaccinated children had a chronic health issue, while 57% of the vaccinated children had at least one chronic health issue, often multiple. That's 17 versus 57%. The only real problem with this study and why it didn't get submitted for publication is that its findings did not fit the belief and the policy that vaccines are safe. Had it found vaccinated children were healthier, it no doubt we can protect children from vaccine harms. We should and we must do both.
So those of you who have kids, little children, and you are rushing to get them vaccinated after birth, you are destroying those children. You are giving them sicknesses they were never born with. Now they have the potential to be sick with what you thought you were preventing them from. They said, treat the disease by giving the person the disease. They said, prevent the disease from a healthy person by giving him the disease. It was a lie. It was a lie, massive lie. It seemed to make sense. Until countries where there was never cancer, cancer arrived. No fibroids, fibroids arrived. Polio arrived. All these things they made vaccines for. The sicknesses arrived in those countries when the vaccines came. They were never there.
The vaccinated subjects were over 4 times more likely to have an asthma diagnosis.
600% more acute and chronic ear infections.
4.47 times the amount of speech disorders in the vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated.
5.5 times risk.
616% increase. Learning issues, developmental delays, speech delays, language delays.
Amongst the unvaccinated group, there were 0.
There was 0 brain dysfunction, 0 diabetes, 0 behavioral problems, 0 learning disabilities, 0 intellectual disabilities, 0 tics, and 0 other psychological disabilities.
There is now ample evidence from people around the world who remain unvaccinated, yet continue to live in strong, vibrant health. Their experiences challenge the narrative many have long accepted.
Okay, not the azithromycin or whatever you want to call it, the antibiotic from the beginning. We're not doing any of it because I don't need it. I think the Lord made the world exactly the way He intended it.
It was so blatant that these children were super, super healthy.
I had never seen health like that. I didn't know that health like that was even possible.
People that I know that do vaccinate, I know their kids have more, seems to me, more health problems. I mean, my kids don't really have any, like definitely no chronic health problems. We don't take, they've never been on pharmaceuticals. They've never needed.
16 years old, no allergies, no rashes, no ear infection, no colic, no antibiotics.
She's never had an over-the-counter medication, not once.
Natural immunity is 27 times more effective than vaccinated immunity.
There is great evidence for the efficacy of natural immunity.
Vaccine-induced immunity is enhancing the infectiousness of the virus.
In Scotland and in northern countries in Europe where they get real data that they're actually the triple vaccinated are the most likely to die. So.
You know, you watch that and really annoying to think that so many were put in their physical conditions of ill health on purpose. On purpose. When we show you the part 2 on another occasion, you'd see some of this. I think you wait to see that. Really painful. And just like I told you, a lot of these things that children were vaccinated against didn't exist in those countries or in those cities until the vaccines came. The vaccines brought the diseases. There was no polio until the polio vaccine. They're not going to tell you these things. How can they tell you? They won't tell you the truth. So with all of the evidence that's available today, you would expect that either the WHO or at least their agents like Gavi and co would come to their senses and say, we want to put a pause on vaccines. No, because even the WHO is not a health organization. It is an anti-health organization. And I'm not just saying that lightly. You have to read the document that establishes the WHO. Read it. It's about population management, which is a euphemism for mass murder and the spread of infertility. That's what they're about. And how they used their influence to gain traction and become an organization that nations have to look up to. No, it's not. It is not a global organization like some people think. It's a cult. And it's a racket. Well, when I speak about these things, I'm not just making a complaint. I'm not speaking words lightly. I'm taking them up spiritually. That's the point. That's the reason for the discussion. And I'm informing God's people, don't be a victim to these Luciferian organizations and their agenda. Don't be a victim. And that we must use what Christ has given us in dealing with them. Don't get subjugated by the ideology. So let's use what we've got. And the Bible is clear who wins. It says, resist the devil and he will flee. Yes. It didn't say he'll fight back. He can't fight back. Yes. He doesn't have the power to fight back. Yes. All we have to do is resist them, and they must flee. They have to. And then remember the GMO subterfuge. They come into your country and show you big tomatoes, bigger than the human head. Mangoes twice as large as a human head. Yes, sir. Why wouldn't you want it? Yes. Because now they're showing you how you can multiply your produce, increase the size of your output. You'd like it. You'd like it. It's wonderful. You'd like it. And the convenience of seedless fruits. Yes, sir. I mean, I used to like that. You know, I mean, you don't have to be picking out the seeds. Yes, yes, yes. Just put it in and you know, and enjoy it. The convenience. We'll come to find out, these are all poisons. Yes, sir. All the GMO foods, the poisons. Those seedless grapes, seedless oranges, seedless tangerines, they're all poisons. And then the new one, the apple that never turns brown. You can keep it, cut a bit out of it, it remains white inside for the next 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the rats that they tested with them all died. Do they tell you that? No. And before dying, they had lumps in their bodies, growths in their bodies, cancerous growths. That was to test what could happen to human beings. So they knew, and they infiltrated your markets, your shops, your farms, with those deadly things. And then Bill Gates invests in your country to buy up your farms and destroy your natural organic seeds and replace them with his satanic seeds. And people don't know that this is not philanthropy. This is war. A war of attrition, gradually wiping out populations, because he is the chief proponent of population management. Everything for him is towards zero. He said the population has to be taken closer to zero. It's all zero. Even this climate change, net zero. It's all 0, 0, 0, net zero. So I want you to pray. Pray. Those organizations should vacate your country. They should leave your country. They're terrible. They're not helping your country. Pray. If you pray, as I'm telling you, God will send them away. They're not investors. They're not investing in your country. They are destroying your country. There's a whole lot better investment. They're destroying your country. Do you realize they destroy the soil as well? With their fertilizers? They're satanic fertilizers. Destroying your soil. Think how many countries are importing all the fruits they used to export. Now they're importing them. And they're importing them seedless. And they can't reproduce them anymore. They've destroyed their soils. Same thing happened with ginger. Some African countries used to export ginger. Now they're importing ginger. Ask what happened to their ginger. Now they can't grow ginger in their country. At least not to appreciable values. There's an organization, from the United States. I will just mention the acronym for now, or the initials. IITA is what it's called. They pretend to help you with agriculture, all of these things. It's one of the most dangerous organizations in any country. Yes, sir. For how many years have they been there? And check, if you want to know if it's a good organization, check who the founder is. Then check the purpose of its establishment. Who established it? And what was the person's idea on eugenics? Was he connected? Was his organization connected to eugenics or not? It turns out, yes, for the IITA. Directly linked with eugenics. And if it is so, how can those who are the proponents of eugenics do anything to save your life? They may not be happy with what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is true. Absolute truth. And I've started praying about them. Yeah, because their work needs to round off and they need to go. They need to leave. They are worse than USAID that the Trump administration had to fold up some months ago. And this one is worse than that one. So find out, for how long have they been in your country? And what is it they are doing that doesn't get done? That's my point. They've been there too long. And as long as they've been there, food production has gone down. Infertility has risen. What is this? What are they doing? I know you came for communion service. You know, when we come together over the communion, anything we say has power. Because I give you those words, and upon these words, we break bread and drink the cup, and all satanic forces are paralyzed.